Hello and welcome to another installment of You Can't Beat the Drums. Thank you for watching. My name is Chris Kimball. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that sort of thing. This is another in my series of buying inexpensive drums, putting a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into them, and then selling them for little or no profit. This is not the kit I'll be fixing up. This kit is already fixed up. You can see this in some of the other videos I've done before. The kit I'm talking about today cost me $40. I met a guy in a parking lot. He had this van with, could have even had shag carpet, but it was the quintessential musician's van. It took me way back to my days touring around to local venues, rocking out with my high school and college rock bands. Anyway, the guy tried to play drums. He was actually, I think, a bass or a guitar player or something, or violin player maybe. Anyway, he decided he didn't want to put the practice in and wanted to get rid of them. Didn't have any hardware. It was basically just a shell pack with an inexpensive snare stand. It's a D drum set, and the snare stand I sold with something else, and I ordered a new, slightly heavier duty snare stand, which should be arriving in the mail soon. I've got some cymbals that are really dirty that were left over from a couple of other projects. I have some hardware I've already cleaned I can use. So my hope is to put together a complete kit that actually looks and sounds good, and I can sell it to somebody for a low price. I have a guy already interested actually who saw one of my previous kits and was a little late in getting to me, so it already sold. So I'll contact him first once I get this set put together. But let's take a look at the shells, see what we've got. They're pretty clean and seem to be in great shape. So a little cleaning of the heads, maybe some speed shine on the shells, and perhaps I won't have to disassemble the whole kit like I normally do. Let's find out, shall we? In the light of day, you can see these drums are in good shape as far as the wrap goes. There's some dust and some things that probably are just sort of stains that'll wipe off or buff out or something. But there does not appear to be any buckling in the wrap, which is nice. Like that kind of stuff is just dirt. The thing I noticed though is that the chrome does have some dirt on it that probably won't just wipe off. I think steel wool is required, so much as I was hoping I wouldn't have to take this set completely apart, it does appear that will be on the docket, so it'll look absolutely gorgeous when I get finished, because I think it will. The head, that can easily be cleaned, as I've shown in my other videos. One thing I did notice, though, that I wasn't aware of is that inside the snare drum, if you can hear this, yep, there it is. There's a actual screw in there that fell out of one of the lugs right there. And there's also a problem with the throw-off strainer. There is a, you can see it, it's obviously missing one of its screws in there too. So the snare is going to take a little bit of work. And again, up close you can see the kind of dirt on the lugs, sort of just from sitting in a room somewhere for years and years. It does in the bass drum have one of those cool foam things though that gives it a muffle, but not too much muffle. Hopefully. It also looks like it has a double bass drum pad there. This will probably only have a single bass drum pedal with it because the double bass drum pedal that I do have actually came with another kit, and I promised it to a friend who got me the last kit for free. That was in my last video. The drum set he just gave me, but he wanted the double bass pedal. But this didn't come with any pedal at all. This is all I got, but it was only 40 bucks. So by the time you get it cleaned up, that's a pretty good deal. What you'll see though is that when you start adding parts to these drum sets, $40 is not necessarily that cheap because you got to add cymbal stands and bass drum pedals and drum thrones and all sorts of other things. And you'll see how quickly that adds up. Still, it'll be a nice kit when it's finished. Kind of reminds you of that person that said the most expensive boat I ever had was that one I got for free. Since I don't have a lot of time before the big Seahawks game that I want to watch, I'm going to do these drums one at a time over a period of probably weeks. I'll be out of town next week at a conference, so I won't have a lot of time to work on this in the evenings. You'll notice that the snares are kind of missing some strands. I'm going to replace that once I get this done. There's some goop on the snare head, which I can certainly remove easily enough. So we'll see if we can get the snare drum done today at least. In the "Gee, Chris, why do you keep all this junk" department, I have bags of parts I've been saving for some time. And what I'm going to try to do is go through these bags and see if I can find a nut and bolt that will replicate that, or because I'm missing it on that side, or maybe a pair that match, that would work, just so they match. I like things that match. Something else that's interesting, this throw-off strainer that I took off, I realized just now, it is actually a pearl throw-off strainer, not a D drum. So that's kind of funny. Seems to fit just fine, except I have to find an extra bolt like that, or something of that thread pattern, again in a matching pair, so that this will not slide around when it's on the drum. Now, if I can't find the matching pair of nuts and bolts or the extra bolt I need out of all my junk, because I also have a giant tub of bolts over there on the other side of the garage, if I can't find it, I will have to admit that maybe my wife is right and saving all this junk doesn't make sense. Score 1 for being a pack rat. Yes, I searched for 45 minutes, but found nice chrome matching, look at that, nuts and bolts for that, and then a matching sort of screw for this. Now the head's slightly different, as you can see, but still it's going to work just fine. I don't think anyone will notice unless they watch this video, of course. This needs a little bit of cleaning, as you can tell, a little bit of polishing needed for that. So we'll get to that right now. I'll take the drum the rest of the way apart, and then we will be ready to clean it up and put it back together. Back in the laundry room to do a little goof off action. That would be some sticky stuff there we're going to get rid of. A little bit there we're going to get rid of. We're going to use some Comet to try to get that clean. But first we'll probably need to use some of that goof off there. And then there were some little marks on this along the bottom edge, and I think those might be scratches, but I'm going to try some of the goof off on those too and see if I can get that out of there. So this is the before shot, and we'll show you the after shot in just a second. Well, you can see the difference here. This is the clear head now. It's pretty much clear. The batter head has a few marks where the coating actually had worn through. You can kind of see that's actually lack of coating there. But other than that, the head turns out pretty well. Looks pretty good. The best friend of Remo heads is Comet. Don't try that on other brands though. Aquarian, the Comet will take the coating right off. So I've only found this to work effectively on Remo. It still leaves some of the surface on there. And then the drum itself, I was going to use that goof off on the stuff, but it started to affect the finish and make it blurry and dull. So I quickly stopped, and then I ended up having to use my Griot's Garage buffing machine. So I went ahead and buffed this shell, so it looks fantastic now. So when I get the chrome put on it, get it all cleaned up and everything, should be looking like a nice snare. The chrome is polished, looks really good. As I mentioned, the heads and the shell look good. The rims are all polished. They look excellent as well. I am going to replace this faulty snare with a better one that I have. So now it's time to start putting her all back together, and then we'll see how it sounds. Well, the D drum snare drum is completely finished, and it ended up looking quite nice. I'm going to play it in a minute. You'll just have to listen to it through the stupid phone microphones, because I tried recording it with this little lapel mic on, and it cuts in and out, and I don't know why. I'm using low-tech equipment. That's probably why. Anyway, you'll notice it has a very ringy sound, very open sound, which apparently, according to the comments I've gotten on some of my other videos, some people really like, others may not, and you can put a Remo's on it or a Studio Ring or whatever brand you like if you want to deaden it a little bit, or maybe put some padding or something on the lower snare head. But when I get the whole set finished, then we'll be able to hear how it sounds all together, and we'll. And there's Benji. Say hi, Benji. That's Benji. And Remo's on the floor. Come on, Remo. Come on. Remo's kind of camera shy. Anyway, when I get the rest of the drums cleaned over the next couple of weeks, I'll put the whole set together and add the cymbals. I'll show you how I clean those and everything, and we'll see how it looks and see how it sounds. But I'll give you a little demo right now, just again through the microphones built into the phone. There's Remo right there. Hi, Remo. Remo, and oh, there's Benji as well. Now they're both in shot. I think it's dinner time. I think that's what they're excited about. But right now, guys, I'm going to play the snare drum for a minute for the viewing audience. So just hold on.
there you have it.
Well, as I start to take apart the bass drum, I notice a couple things, kind of a voyage of discovery. I notice that the bass drum is, oops, bit of a problem there. It's supposed to be a double ply, and it looks like it's going to be a single ply. Now, I've salvaged heads like this before, where I've literally just taken off one of the plies and continue to use it as a single ply head. And I might try that, or I might go out in the garage and see if I have any extra 22-inch heads that I can use with this kit. The other thing I realized is that as I was cleaning this and just starting to take it apart, it was missing the two wing bolts, and they screw into these things inside. You can see the threads are, I don't know if these are stripped or not, I can't tell. It doesn't look like it, but I got to see if I've got a couple of wing bolts that are going to match so I can use the tom bracket correctly. Boy, the more you look, the more you see. So this is what I'm doing with this head. I am actually starting to pull the double ply here, just tearing it off. So eventually this will become a single ply bass drum head. I got to clean it. There's a bunch of gunk in it, you can see. I think I can get that cleaned out. But we'll have a slightly thinner batter head, but I don't know, that should work okay. We'll see how it sounds. My guess is it'll sound just fine. When I was growing up, that's all we had were single ply heads, and they worked fine for us. It's like an old codger, don't they? Okay, call me a fanatic, a perfectionist, compulsive, anal retentive, whatever you want, but I decided after taking this thing apart, you can see the parts, got them all polished up, they look great, that there were some surface scratches on this drum. Not bad, they're kind of slight, but I just thought, you know, I might as well do the Griot's buffing machine and try to get rid of those scratches, make it look just a little bit better. So I'm going to go out in the garage, use my buffing machine. You'll notice I taped over all the holes so the buffing goo won't drip inside the drum. I learned that the hard way in one of my previous videos. And the other thing, you know, I was going to leave these alone, but I tried using some of that Barkeeper's Friends on the, I think it was the floor tom head here. And it's pretty rough. It kind of dulled the head, plus it put some little scratches in it. So I know it's ridiculous to spend, you know, half an hour buffing a head that's worth $20. But, you know, why waste not, want not? I mean, I found an old black dot that I had sitting in the garage for 40 years. I was able to peel it off. It was a small black dot, and look at that. It's going to go right over where the bass drum beater hits on this head, which, by the way, I removed that first layer, managed to take it out all the way around the edge, and this head looks brand new. It's a little thinner than it was, but with that pad there and the padding inside the bass drum that came out of it, that little foam thing there, it's probably going to sound pretty good. And then there's the bass drum pedal I'm going to add to the kit, put a nicer beater on it, and it's a pretty decent pedal. Single spring, but it's got chain drive, and I think that'll do the trick. So just about ready to start putting this thing back together once I get those heads cleaned off, the drum buffed, and then the cymbals cleaned. That's the other thing. There's some cymbals that are pretty dirty. I'll get to those in a minute. Anyway, it's coming along. Well, I thought I'd show you just after one pass. This is not the final buffing, but this head was buffed first time through, and this is the unbuffed head. You can see the difference. I mean, way nicer to look at a head like that than like that. And I'm not even finished. This is just layer one. I'm going to do another pass with a slightly finer buffing compound. Right now, I'm using, where is it? Let's see. Here it is. I'm using this fast correcting cream. And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to go over it again with the moderate. I could go all the way to the super gloss, but I'm not going to do that. That would take way too long. The bass drum, though, is looking really good. It got rid of some of those scratches. I can't believe how nice that Griot's stuff is. It just really makes the shell, as they say, pop. Oh, there's a little piece of splash on there from the last thing. Anyway, it really looks nice. And those little surface scratches just virtually disappear. Makes it look almost new, which is the whole idea. Yep, on to the rest of the drum heads. Then I'll give it all a second buffing and we'll put her together. The drums are looking great now. They look really, really good with the pieces replaced, and dogs look pretty good too. The only marks on the heads now are pretty much where I was tuning it and listening to hear what it sounded like. But the throne there, I'm going to add that throne to the kit, obviously. But really looking nice. But now we have a conundrum. Cymbals. You see, I have a Sabian ride, which definitely needs to be cleaned. I'll probably just wipe all the logos and so forth off, because I don't think I'm going to be able to get that stuff off without doing that. If I can, I will, obviously. And I've got these hi-hat cymbals. Yeah, they've seen better days, and those are Zildjian. I also have a Zildjian crash cymbal, which is cut down from a bigger one. I did that in one of my previous videos. And then I have a nice pair of Sabian hi-hats, which are all clean already. So the question is, do I have a Sabian ride with Sabian hats and a Zildjian crash cymbal? Or do I have a Sabian ride with Zildjian hi-hats and a Zildjian crash cymbal? I'm not exactly sure. I think I'm going to attempt to clean those Zildjian hi-hats, and I'll go with the Sabian ride and then Zildjian hats in the crash. I'm going to throw that China type in there as well. Let's see how they turn out after I've cleaned them, then we'll make a final decision. I know I show you this every single video, but I'm going to show you again. That's the after of a Zildjian ZBT cymbal after cleaning. That's the before. Now, I know people say, oh, don't clean your cymbals, you'll wipe off the logo, it'll sound different. I'll tell you what, I'd rather be playing something that looks like that than something that looks like that. I'm going to clean that one next. So I have cleaned my cymbals since I was 4 years old, although back then I was using like trash can lids. And I have always liked the sound. I don't think that it makes any difference in terms of playability. I think it looks better. Yes, it might be a little brighter, but hey, I like things that are bright. That's why I married my wife. I probably shouldn't be taking pictures of the finished set at night because it's kind of dark in here. One of our main light fixtures got taken down for painting, and so this room is not exactly bright. But I think the camera does a good job of compensating for that. As you can see, the drums look really good. The cymbals are shiny. Sounds good too. You'll hear what it sounds like on Tuesday when the guy who's going to buy it for his 10-year-old son is going to show up. But the set looks good, sounds good. And I think I've got about $460 into it. I'll show you that in a few minutes, the breakdown of where the costs come. But I told the guy I'd sell to him for $400 because it seems like, you know, his 10-year-old son's real excited about it, and that's cool. Don't pay any attention to the garbage bag there. That's actually tablecloths from a wedding we just had. So not me, but one of my kids. Anyway, set looks good. So another successful project. Hopefully it'll be going to a really good home. So here's the total of what I came up with. We can look at this together. The set costs thusly: $40 for the shells, $10, $5 a piece for those little rubber feet that screw on the end of the bass drum legs. I think they're more like $6 if you buy them individually, but I think I got them in bulk, so $5 a piece. Bass drum pedal, about $30. Hi-hat stand, about $40 for that stand. The PDP boom cymbal stand, I think it's like $40. The generic boom cymbal stands are brand new. I got those on Amazon. They were kind of a special price because I noticed now the price has gone way up. So those were my $35 each for those boom cymbal stands. Good price, I think, because they're pretty, pretty good for intermediate level equipment. The drum throne, I think that's brand new as well. I can't remember what I paid for it. I think it was more than $35, but $35 is what I'm going to charge. Probably at least $35 in cleaning supplies when you talk about the Griot's formula and the Barkeeper's Friend and all the other stuff that goes into cleaning all this stuff. Steel wool, etc. The Sabian 20-inch ride cymbal, I think $45 is probably a pretty good deal for that because it really sounds nice. The cut-down crash cymbal, that 18-inch, used to be an 18, now it's a 16-inch. I figure 16-inch crash, it's a ZBT, so $30. The 12-inch China cymbal, I think $30 is probably a pretty good price for that. The hi-hat cymbals, the Zildjians, once they're all cleaned up and everything, I figure $40 for the pair. The Tom mount wing bolts, I didn't know what to charge for those. I figured $5 a piece. If you tried to buy them at the store, they'd probably cost that much for the drum chrome type. I probably could have got something cheaper at the hardware store, but they don't exactly match, but I think they look better than what I'd find at the hardware store. So the total I got into the kit is $455 if you go by these prices. I'm going to just charge 400 because I'll make it up in volume. No, I'm not obviously doing this for the money, but I think 400 is a nice round number. It's a nice little kit. Sounds good, as you'll hear tomorrow. And all in all, for 80 hours of work, I think it's a heck of a deal. Well, the potential purchaser of the drum set is driving up in the driveway now. Should be just a minute until we hear the doorbell ring and the dogs go crazy. That's what usually happens. This gentleman apparently has a 10-year-old son who's interested in drums, so we will see how the conversation goes and if they like the kit. There's the doorbell and there are the dogs. Hi there!
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. What's your name?
Kyler.
Kyler?
Yeah.
Kyler. Come on in.
Dan.
Dan, good to
Nice to
see
meet
you.
you.
Come on in. There is the kit. I will move the camera so it is in view here. Let's just see how smoothly I can make this camera. There we go. All right, so there it is. Yeah. Now I have it set a little tall because I've got rather huge legs in terms of length, but you can of course adjust it higher or lower. So maybe we'll get it adjusted down just a little bit for your height. You want to be a little careful with the drums. If they get too close, what happens is they bang into the bass drum and scratch it. There's a lot of bass drums that are all marred because of that. So you'll have to be a little careful. Maybe you can lift them at an angle a little more or whatever. But I'll get this lowered down for you and adjust this just a little bit in a second. But I wanted to, for the sake of the video, show the sound of the drums. They turned out pretty nicely. I think the camera actually is angled at a ridiculous angle. This is my skill as a. There we go. That might be better.
Probably better than that.
There we go. Yeah, this will end up on YouTube sooner or later, as long as the sound is being recorded correctly. Oh yes, I have the microphone down here, and we'll move it like that. There we go. So this drum set, like I said, it's a D drum. They're called D2, and the cymbals are Zildjian hi-hats or the ZBT line, which is more the entry-level type.
Yeah.
This is also a Sabian ride. This is a Zildjian crash, which was actually cut down from a larger cymbal, had a crack in the end, so I laid it down. And then this is a little China type, which is kind of a unique sounding cymbal for special effects. There was a song back when I was a kid called "Take the Money and Run." It's not pretty good. And you got a free pair of drumsticks. These were brand new till I just used them. And also a drum key, which I'm not sure how much you know about drums at this point, but the drum key obviously is for tuning. The drums move higher or lower. If the heads get out of whack and it sounds funny, you can adjust them. There's probably videos on YouTube about that. And then there's little memory locks here, which you can adjust with this as well. These are set up so that when you put the drums on, they move to the right place. So let me just do one thing for you here. I'm going to lower this down a little bit. See, that's how then you basically have that little washing, and then you just tighten it, and that will hold it whatever height you like. So then, because you'll be sitting a little lower, you might want to lower this down just a little bit too. We'll just lower that down just a bit, and we'll see how that works for you. And I'll give you a little more information on how to adjust the snare drum stand and everything too in just
Cool
a
that
second.
this one's cut down. We watched one of your videos where you cut one down and sanded it down.
Oh,
So
that's the one.
Oh, that's
the
awesome.
actual cymbal.
Remember
Yeah.
that, dude?
All right, so let's. Why don't you give it a try? Again, the hi-hat may be too high for you as well, but why don't you have some fun, play a little bit. I don't know how much have you played drums before?
How much have you played drums, bud? He got a little 4-pad electronic drum pad.
Oh,
about
okay.
What was that? About 6 to 9 months ago, and then he just about 2 months ago started drum lessons on an actual kit with a teacher here.
Nice. Okay.
The drummer here, and so he just learned his first drum fill last Tuesday, I think, that he's been working on stuff
Awesome.
like that. So.
Well, you want to play just for a minute and hear what they sound like? What do you think?
I like
Okay. So what are your plans? What do you want to do with drums? Do you think as you grow up and
I'm
get older?
gonna play on the worship team at our church,
Very cool. What church you go to?
City Central.
City Central. I actually played drums at our church for many years. And then they put a glass booth around me, and that was fun because then I didn't have to worry about playing, quietly. I'd walk out and they just turn me down.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
well, that's cool. I had a drum student years ago, and that's exactly what she did. She played for a church for many years. You can practice at home, and we'll let you take it home and practice on it. So I wanted to thank you for showing up and coming in to pick it up. Have any questions about it or anything?
Yeah, do you have any questions about it?
Okay, well, I expect to see you in a couple of years on YouTube with your own channel rocking out, all
I'll
right?
shoot you a couple videos when he gets going on it and stuff too.
Sounds good. Oh, is that the money?
Yeah.
Oh, great. All right, we'll take care of that too. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
His drum teacher is plays for Soma, I think, and plays in a band here
Sure.
in the area.
So,
and
yeah, I
stuff
know. I
like
have a couple people that are involved in Soma. So, very good. All right. Well, and I'll show you the breakdown of the cost and everything. Like I said, it was about $455 totally when you get into it, but $400 is fine. Again, I'll make it up in volume. So, so let's get it packed up and loaded up.
Perfect.
All right, Kyler. Have fun with your new drums. Very nice to meet you both. Have a wonderful evening.
You too. Thanks, Chris.
Bye. Well, there they go, the happy new drum owners. Hope it gets used well, often, and for many more years to come.